Hey there, fellow sports gamblers. It's Steel Picks for you with the best 5 NBA playoff prize picks and underdog free picks for today, April 14th. Before we get into today's picks, let's see how things went for us on the diamond yesterday. Yusei Kikuchi gave up 4 hits, half a hit short of the 4.5 we had predicted. Paul Skeens had 6 strikeouts, a half strikeout short of the 6.5 we predicted for him. O'Neal Cruz had 2 hits on the day, well above the half a hit we predicted he'd have. Wilson Contreras was 1 for 3 with a run scored to go over the 1.5 runs, hits, and RBIs we predicted. And Stephen Kwan was 2 for 5 to go over the 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs predicted he'd go over. We were actually half a hit and half a strikeout short of the immaculate ticket. 3 out of 5 ain't bad, but let's see if we can't put together an immaculate ticket betting on this playoff hoop. See what we can find. First up, we have Con Kneppel under 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists against the Miami Heat. As we all know, Con Kneppel has had a great season in his rookie season. Could quite possibly be the rookie of the year. At the very least, he'll be second to Cooper Flagg. It's kind of back and forth between the two. But for our purposes, let's talk about what he's going to do against the Miami Heat. As you can see in his last 8 games, he has been under that 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Just barely missing the mark here against the New York Knicks, but consistently under that mark. And for other reasons, for example, his playoff experience, I don't think that he's going to be able to rise to the occasion. This is an elimination game, so I don't think that he's going to have huge numbers. And the game definitely slows down when the playoffs start. You don't get nearly as many possessions. It's not as much of a back and forth, up and down the court type of a game. And it will be his first one. So typically, rookies struggle in their first playoff game. I don't see this being any different for Con Kneppel. I definitely think he's going to get his minutes in, so that's not going to be a problem. He's been pretty consistent at that 32-minute a game, although he may have to deal with a little bit of foul trouble. He's playing against a very physical team that knows how to win in the Miami Heat. Field goal attempts have been right around that 13.5 mark with 14. 16 here against the Boston Celtics, 14 in his last game against the Knicks. He doesn't get to the free throw line a whole lot. As a matter of fact, no attempts against Boston and no attempts against Detroit. Only 1 against the New York Knicks, so don't have to worry about him scoring with time running off the clock. So I like Con Kneppel under 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists. As you can see, Prizepicks selected as well as minus 119. Next up from us in that same game, LaMelo Ball under 36.5 points, rebounds, and assists. As you can see, he's been over in 3 of his last 4 games, but those were against some pretty good defenses. Let's not kid ourselves. Boston Celtics being the number 1 defense, he had 36 points, pretty impressive, and 27 points against the Detroit Pistons. But he only had 19 against the New York Knicks, and in the 6 games prior to that 3-game output, was well under the 36.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Again, in the same vein as I'm talking about Con Kneppel, this will be LaMelo Ball's first playoff experience. There's a lot to be said for playoff experience, and I think LaMelo Ball will be having a little bit of the jitters. He'll definitely put up his shots. We know LaMelo's not shy, and as you can see in the last 4 games, 22, 24, 20, and 19. But the other thing that we have working in our favor is that his field goal percentage is not very high. And as we all know, that once the playoff starts, and this is an elimination game, let me remind that he's definitely going to be forcing it and trying to take things into his own hands, not necessarily for the best. And when we see his free throws, he had no free throws in his last game against the New York Knicks. 7 and 6, ironically, in his last 2 games against Boston and Detroit. But I don't think he'll be getting to the line as much as we are expecting him to. So I think that he won't be able to score points with the clock stopped, which again works in our favor. LaMelo Ball under 36.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Underdog likes this as well, as you can see at the minus 20. And from that same game, we have a little bit different dynamic. We have Khalil Ware hitting a 3-pointer against Charlotte. And as you can see, he's done this in 10 straight games, 4 of which he only had 1 3-pointer, but we only needed him to score 1 3-pointer. In the other 6 games, he had at least 2. And in the last game against the Atlanta Hawks, he absolutely went ballistic from the center position, scored hit 4 3-pointers. So definitely think that he can do that. Miami Heat don't have a whole lot of scoring outside of Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero, so it would not surprise me at all if Kel'el Ware has the green light to take a few 3-pointers. And in addition, the Charlotte Hornets interior post defense, not that spectacular. So he definitely will have the opportunity to draw those guys out to the 3-point line, where he will definitely have the advantage. So I'm looking forward to seeing him doing that. And as you can see, head-to-head, he did that the last 4 times against Charlotte. The last game he didn't hit 3-pointer, but in those other 3, he was just perfectly fine from there. So definitely like his chances there. And as you can see, 3-pointers that he's taking, he actually took quite a few, although he only made none in the last game. But he's definitely taking his shots, which is what we need. If he can go 30, 35%, definitely like our chances for him to go over 3-pointer. And as you can see, Underdog likes that as well, as they have him at -20. And as a friendly reminder, when you sign up on BETR using my promo code STEELEWINS, you'll receive 200 anytime tokens worth up to $100 each. And when you sign up on Novig using my STEELEWINS promo code and spend $5, you'll get a $50 bonus. More money for playoff gambling, which I am sure everyone listening can use. Next up, we have Devin Booker over 2 3-pointers. And let's be honest, Devin Booker is the Phoenix Suns offense, has been for quite some time, and it's playoff time. I think that he feels like his legacy is a little bit in jeopardy, certainly if he was to get knocked out in the play-in tournament. So I think that he'll be doing everything that he can in his power to make sure that they get over the hump. You can see he's only missed this over 2 3-pointers in 2 games. We're back-to-back against Denver and Utah, but the last 6 he's been on a streak as far as going over the 1.5 3-pointers that we need. So for our purposes, he's definitely been doing his thing. So definitely like him to continue that against the Portland Trail Blazers. Head-to-head, 3 out of the 4 he's been able to do so. 4 out of the 5 he's been able to do so. Missing that against Portland in November, but certainly he is well capable of exceeding 1.5 3-pointers. And you can see he's going to put it up. He puts it up at least 7 times a game. So definitely looking forward to seeing him doing that. Devin Booker over 1.5 3-pointers. And last but not least, we have Jrue Holiday over 21.5 points and rebounds. As we can see, Drew's been able to do this in 5 of his last 6 games. And in 3 of those games, he was doing it on points alone. 30 against the Clippers, 27 against the Pelicans, 23 against the Sacramento Kings. So the other reason that I say this is because Jrue Holiday is bringing something that is very important, cannot be overlooked, and that is playoff experience to a team that really has no playoff experience. If I'm not mistaken, Jrue Holiday has played in more playoff games than the entire Portland Trail Blazer roster combined, and so they will definitely need to be leaning and relying on his ball handling ability and his tenaciousness, getting to the rim, getting rebounds, scoring points when they need it. They'll be relying on him heavily for his experience. As you can see, the minutes per game is pretty consistent, right around the 32. But of course, this is playoff time. So I think that we're going to have to throw that out the window. I think he's going to have to play as many minutes as is necessary, which is definitely going to work in our favor. Field goal attempts will be definitely up a little bit. As you can see, he was quite high here in the middle of the end of March. 21 attempts, 22 attempts against the Clippers and the Pelicans. Fell off a little bit against Denver and San Antonio with a 19 and 17. Not quite sure what happened in this Clippers game, but back up to 18 against the Sacramento Kings. They'll need him, so he'll definitely be the elder statesman. He'll be putting up shots when necessary, trying to keep the Portland Trail Blazers in this game as much as possible. So look for him to have his scoring cap on, and also look for him to the line. I know there was this little apparition here in early April where he didn't get to the line at all against the Pelicans, the Nuggets, and the Spurs. But you can see his last 2 games, 5 times against the Clippers and 6 times against the Sacramento Kings. So definitely liking Jrue Holiday to go over 21.5 points and rebounds. And as you can see, Novig likes us as well at the -114. So to recap, we have Concanapple under 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists. LaMelo Ball under 36.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Khalil Ware over half a three-pointer, over 1.5 three-pointers. And Drew Holiday over 21.5 points and rebounds. That's the 5 picks I have for you. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the Steel Picks for You channel. And good luck, everyone.